Hello everyone and welcome to Not Done Yet. My name's David Tickner and I'm Chief Executive of the Civil Service Retirement Fellowship, and I'm delighted to introduce my co-host for the podcast this afternoon, my friend, colleague and the CSRF's Deputy Chief Executive, Denise Headley. So what's on your mind today, Dee?
How about sweltering heat and melting slowly while we try to do Not Done Yet?
Yeah, that sounds like a good, I think we would all concur with that. So if this is your first time listening, Not Done Yet is a podcast from UK national charity, the Civil Service Retirement Fellowship. And it celebrates age, challenges ageism, and proves that retirement is not the end of the story. In many cases, it's just the beginning. The CSRF has been providing charitable services built around friendship and support for retired civil servants and their dependents for over 6 decades. And if you're interested in finding out a bit more about our work, how to get involved or make a donation, you can check out our website, www.csrf.org.uk. We'd also like to say a huge thank you to all those people who have listened to the episodes we posted so far, and also to the over 2,500 of you that have subscribed to our YouTube channel. You can help raise the profile of our charity by liking the videos we post, sharing them with friends, posting a comment and subscribing to our channel. If you're a novice to YouTube, as I was about 6 to 7 months ago, I'm reliably told there is a bell icon on YouTube that if you click that or press it, that means that any new content we post to our channel, you will get an immediate notification. So you'll never miss an episode and you cannot be excused for missing one now. So let's move on, since it is the UK's hottest day. In fact, I think if you are listening to us in Europe, which we know we've had several people who have been tuning into the podcast from around the EU and beyond, you're actually beating our temperatures, I think, on mainland Europe. We're a mediocre 35 to 38, where I think some parts of Europe are in the 40 to 45 brigade. So
gosh.
you are in a worse
Wow.
position than we are.
Yeah.
Anyway, our guest for this afternoon is a long-standing friend of the CSRF community, and indeed on a personal level, I think I've known her for well over a decade. So there you go. Time goes very quick in the world of friendships in the charity sector. Debbie Terry is the chair of the Civil Service Insurance Society Charity Fund. That is the charity giving wing of the insurance company called the Civil Service Insurance Society. Now, they go back, I think, and Debbie will no doubt correct me if I've made a boo, but I think they're well over 100 years old. And they also provide all sorts of motoring insurance policy, travel insurance policy, and I think even do pet insurance, sailboat insurance. I think they're diversifying the insurance arena. And all of the insurance policies they sell, as they're a non-profit, go towards supporting the Civil Service Insurance Society Charity Fund, who then provide grants to civil and public sector charitable organisations across the UK to help their work. And as the CSRF has over many years, we have benefited from the kind support of CSICF, using the marvellous civil service acronym. I won't try and repeat that too often because I get all the letters in the wrong way. But we are very grateful for all of the support that they have given us, and they have helped us launch our befriending schemes when they came online about 10 years ago, and also in years gone by supported the production, circulation and distribution of our newsletter, which at the time was called Avanti. Anyway, without further ado, a big hello and a welcome to Debbie. We're delighted to have you with us. Hello, Debbie.
Hello, David and Denise.
Lovely
Hi,
to have
Debbie,
you.
lovely to see you.
And we're
you.
going to kick you off, as we always do with our podcast, with a very easy starter question, which is a little bit of a giveaway because it's called Not Done Yet. But we always ask everybody, when did you realise that you were not done yet?
Okay, I guess it's a slightly interesting one because I've retired not once but twice. I worked virtually all my working career in BT, latterly in human resources, which doesn't always make you a very popular person, but somebody has to do it. I retired from that full-time job, I think when I was 57, which is quite a long time ago now. It seemed like the right time to do it. My husband had died about 18 months before. My daughter had gone off to university. It seemed like the time to make a new start, a different direction. And when I did that, I was a bit worried about the cliff edge of retirement. And I knew I would need to find something else to do, but I had no idea what that something else might be. And one day, while I was still working at BT, a friend also in the company rang me up and said, "Oh, Debbie, I found the ideal job for you." And I said, "I don't need a job. I'm leaving. Go away." Anyway, the job turned out to be manager of a small charity called the BT Benevolent Fund, which was not part of BT PLC. So I went ahead with my retirement. Anyway, long story short, I applied for the role. It was advertised as 3 days a week. It wasn't always just 3 days a week, but we won't go there. And in due course got the job. I was due to leave BT in some date in September, and I was due to start this job at the beginning of October, all falling into place nicely. And I did at one stage think, gosh, I wish I'd, organised that a bit better, so I could have had a bit of a holiday in between the two roles. Anyway, you should be careful what you wish for, because in that August, I was diagnosed completely out of the blue with a fairly rare form of cancer. And subsequently had something like 4 or 5 months off going through chemotherapy and radiotherapy.
Wow.
So you really do have to be careful what you wish for. But actually, by I think the beginning of the following February, I was fit enough to make a very gradual start. They had been kind enough to hold the job open for me. My predecessor had stayed on a bit longer than he'd planned. And thank goodness it all worked out. And I worked at the BT Benevolent Fund for 10.5 years. It's a charity which exists to help existing and former BT people and their families who've fallen on hard times, basically. It makes mostly hardship grants. Support to older BT pensioners on very low incomes. Does
And
great
always
work.
very well known, I might say, for producing excellent Christmas cards with the red telephone box in some
Yes.
shape or form.
Do you know, I can't take credit for that. One of the team, a wonderful lady called Pippa Jones, came in one morning and said, "Debbie, we've got to do Christmas cards." I said, "What?" But yes, we did do that, and it was and they still do, and it's quite a good revenue stream. As anybody who's ever run a small charity will know, raising money is the hardest part of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was. I'd had a very slight charity involvement. I'd been on the board of a local charity near where I lived for some time, but yeah, it was great because it was a complete change of direction. Got to know a lot of people in the charity world, like yourself, David, and so and I'm in touch with a lot of those people still today. And yes, I was very, very fortunate to get that job. There were moments when one wished one hadn't, but on the whole, it was a great role. And I finally retired, as I say, after about 10.5 years. I managed to retire on a Wednesday, and my daughter got married on the Saturday, so that was quite a week.
Neatly timed there.
God, yes.
But can I ask a question? Just going back one step. I mean, the small gap you had from finishing full-time job to go straight into BT Benevolent Fund, as you were obviously before the health scenario, which was not on the horizon until the point you knew. You were saying about having a certain amount of trepidation about the cliff edge element of retirement. What support, or was there a lot of support available to you at the time to give you the best opportunity to think about how to approach retirement, what things to consider, etc.? Or did you sort of think, well, I'm highly resourceful, I can find answers to any questions I might have, and I will just go about it in a methodical way of knowing how to find the information I need?
I don't remember there being any particular support, although I may be wrong. I think I tend to be an optimist by nature, and I think I thought that something would just materialize. I don't think I'd ever, but I thought it might be, working at a local charity shop or something like that. I did not think it would be another proper job, and I was very lucky. Equally, getting cancer wasn't terribly lucky. So, things work out, don't they? No, I don't remember there being much support, or maybe I just didn't know where to look, you know. But I suppose I was pretty confident I would find some sort of part-time job. I mean, the other option would have been some sort of office job, 2 or 3 days a week, just doing something very simple that would keep me involved in the world of work. But as things worked out, I didn't need to look for anything like that.
What I was going to ask you, Debbie, was that you said after the Benevolent Fund, did you have the same feelings about the cliff edge? Because essentially, was that was part of the reason you took the second job. So by the time you'd done the second job, how did the cliff edge look then?
It didn't look so much like a cliff edge anymore because I'd already joined the board of another charity related to the Post Office. And then, thanks to a lady called Jill Evans, who I don't know, David would...
I do, yes.
Yes,
I remember Jill.
David.
Yeah.
Jill approached me and said the CSRF charity fund was looking for new trustees and would I care to apply? And I said, no, go away, been there, done that. But of course I did apply in the end. So I joined that board just as I was leaving the Benevolent Fund. So again, I avoided any sort of a small cliff edge, And 3 years ago, for my sins, I was elected as chair of the trustee board. And I have just been re-elected for another 3 years. By which time...
You're doing too good a job.
Well, I just don't put my head under the parapet fast enough, Denise. But, I have said after that I will not do another term. But again, it keeps your brain going. And that's actually, there are times I think, oh, God, this is too much when something goes wrong. But actually, we have an absolutely great board of trustees and everyone pulls their weight. We have a great company secretary, Kevin Holliday. And, we managed to do good, but have some fun while doing it, I think I'd say.
Well, I certainly enjoyed. When I was fairly recently actually invited to do a presentation, it was like a reunion. Everyone round the bar, 2 people who
you knew everybody. Yes.
I knew everybody in the room, which was just goes to show how old I am in terms of knocking around in that circle. But it was a very nice, very warm feeling. I think just as a guest, that very much came across in the genuine bonhomie between all of you and your fellow trustees, I think.
I think, David, I've always been of the view that you can take what you do seriously, but you don't have to be serious while you do it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
I've got another one like that. I used to be a local councillor, and I was told at one point, it's okay to disagree, but don't be disagreeable.
That's a great one, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah. Well, yes, but that's a really good parallel bit of advice, isn't it?
In terms of your approach to fashion after your first retirement, second retirement, and going forward, what's your approach to fashion now that things are in a slightly different space?
The business jackets and suits went to the charity shops pretty quickly, I tell you that.
Everyone said that when they've come on here. They said, within the first couple of months, it's like everything goes to the charity because you're not going to use it.
Because we spoke, it was we chatted to our former CS champion, Dame Elizabeth Gardner, who retired, I think, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And she was positively buoyant about the fact she'd done a fire sale to the local charity shop of every single fashion. She said, I think she can, and she got rid of most of it.
Yeah, she kept 2 jackets, she said.
She kept 2 jackets. And then our former interim chair also said she did exactly the same, but she kept 2 nice handbags, and that was it. Everything else.
I think it's if I had to go somewhere really posh these days, I think I might have to dash out and buy something because I tend in this weather I'm a shorts and t-shirt person despite my advanced age, and most of the time, yes, it's comfy clothes. That sort of thing, But
just that we've had this debate on several episodes of Not Done Yet, and someone who used to work in magazines, I always get on my soapbox when we talk about this because it always annoyed me for many years that advertising agencies buttonhole people according to age over what products they think they want to see. So to take, and no disrespect if you are watching and you love ITV3, please don't take offense. But it's sort of like the ITV3 syndrome. You know, pretty much everything on ITV3 is geared for assuming you're spending the entire day watching a television. You don't
In your slippers.
in your slippers, and all you want to do is either equity release your house or write large donation checks to large charities through, you know, wills,
Legacies.
Legacy.
Yes.
Thank you. That's
Yes.
the word I was looking for.
Yes.
And then you have the sponsorship of the TV programs is Stana Stairlifts,
Saga.
Saga, those awful floor to ceiling, you know, head to foot caftans. And the one that really makes me laugh is the baths that you have to sit in to
Oh,
fill
yeah.
up. So you have a
And
door
they're very
on the bath.
expensive.
I know, they're not cheap.
And I always think to myself, how does the water come out?
Exactly.
If you open the door, doesn't it just come flushing
But
out?
no, but that's predicated on the idea that you have to go into that bath without any water in it, and you just then
and
sit, and then
Like,
presumably turn the taps on. We're going to get awful complaints from people saying you have totally
doesn't work
misunderstood
like
the
that,
product,
Dave.
but I don't care. It's my opinion, just to quantify that.
Yeah.
But isn't it appalling? Because
It
that
is
is such
appalling.
a
Exactly. Thank
stereotyping
you. Yes,
of
exactly.
retirement, and particularly I can't help feeling of elderly women, older
Yeah,
women.
indeed. Yeah.
And it's inexcusable because I know plenty of people who are my age and older who in no way, shape or form fit that sort of stereotype.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's
That's one of the
appalling.
reasons we're doing this, Debbie. That's one of the reasons that we're doing Not Done Yet, because we're actually trying to buck the trend of perceptions of being mature
Exactly,
and what it looks
exactly.
like. I mean, in terms of like fun activities and things that you do to stimulate your creativity, what kind of things do you like to engage in?
Well, I come from a family of competitive travellers. I have two sisters. And if occasionally I manage to go to a country that, in particular, my youngest sister hasn't been to, that's a real gold star moment.
And what was the last gold star you won over her?
Oh, well, I was going to Guatemala, and in the end, she came with me.
Ah, there you
wow.
go. So that was a score draw, was it?
No, but joking apart,
Yeah.
I'm an absolutely avid traveller. I mean, my husband and I had always travelled, but relatively conventional travel.
Yeah.
You know, school holidays, that sort of thing. After he died, I had to make a decision whether I was going to carry on travelling or not. I started doing these small group tours,
Yeah.
and I've done a lot of those. I also, as I say, am lucky enough to have two sisters, and I do travel with either one of them frequently. And I go to Europe particularly a lot on my own. I quite enjoy travelling on my own. You know, I've got it.
Have
Oh,
you
I
been on
love
the
it.
Eurostar?
Yeah, I went to Antwerp in Belgium on Eurostar a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one of our colleagues at work, she's going on the Eurostar, and she was saying to me, you know, Denise, you've got to get onto the Eurostar. And I don't think I've done it yet.
Oh,
So
it's
like,
wonderful.
yeah.
But the trouble is, it's generally much more expensive than flying, which is awful.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's probably cheaper.
No, it's not. You look.
And of
Unless you
course,
go
yeah,
at 5 a.m.
well, that's true. And then the other thing, of course, that people are getting all twitchy about, which seems to be on the news every 2 seconds, is this new entry system to go. Now, did you have any issues with that? This whole
I've been in and
biometric
out.
entry system to go in and out of Europe?
I haven't. I've been in and out a few times since it came into play. I did use the new machines in Seville in the autumn.
Yeah.
It does seem completely incomprehensible. You never know whether you are going to use a machine like our passport machines and then see a man to
Yeah.
stamp your passport. Increasingly, you don't get your passport stamped, but you have done something in a machine. I've only once been asked the load of questions they ask about, have you got enough money to support your stay here, and can we take your fingerprints? It does seem pretty incomprehensible and a huge lottery. Although I went in and out of Nice a few weeks ago, so you could count that as, you know, the beginning of summer. And
Yeah.
it was very quick and easy both ways. But I think there's an awful lot of luck involved.
I mean, there is a tendency, I think, with the best one in the world, that the legacy media, like, you know, BBC, etc., who I do think need to take some responsibility for whipping up things bigger than they need to be. I mean, you remember a few years back where we had the whole, well, I think it was when Boris was in power, where we had the whole of the UK ran out of petrol off the back of a BBC report saying there was a shortage of fuel, which was not even correct.
No.
And then suddenly we had that everyone hoovered up every drop of fuel on the entire aisle.
Planet, yes.
Exactly. Although thankfully the Hormuz scenario does not appear to have had such an impact, although prices have gone up.
Prices
and availability.
They're increasing the ethanol quantity, apparently. Apparently, they're adding more ethanol to the petrol. So basically, the ratio is less. So, but you actually get worse fuel efficiency because the ratio of ethanol is higher. So that's how they're mitigating it. Yes, I was listening to them talking about it on the radio and that sort of thing.
Hello there. If you're enjoying this episode of Not Done Yet, this is the commercial break. You may not know, but the Civil Service Retirement Fellowship is a national charity. We receive no funding from the civil service, and we are entirely supported by the generosity of our donors and subscribers. If you'd like to join our community or just make a one-off donation, check out our website, www.csrf.org.uk, and make a donation online. Or, if you prefer, give us a call on 0208 691 7411 and make a donation over the telephone. Thank you very much. We hope you enjoy the rest of the episode.
So can I ask you a question, Debbie? Have you been always somebody who liked to do like cooking and things like that? And in retirement, have you like experimented with more, creative cooking activities or painting or writing or, I don't know, drawing as well? When you're on your travels, sketching?
Will laugh at that question because I can't say I hate cooking, but I don't like it.
Okay.
And when you live on your own, I mean, I do cook, but I live, a lot on a lot of soup and salad, and what I do though is dressmaking. I sew quite a lot, and I like gardening, and
So when are we going to see the new fashion line then, Debbie?
Haven't gone that far, but I do it. I mean, sometimes it's so unsuccessful that a garment will go straight from my sewing machine to the local Oxfam shop, but
well, at least you've done one. I mean, back in the day, my gran, when a lot of my family came to this country, they were all seamstresses. So my gran taught me, and my grand sister taught me how to sew. So I can make curtains, I can put a zip in, I can make buttonholes, I can do all the basic stitching, I can knit and crochet, but it's mainly squares. I can't really follow a pattern because the way they used to do it is they would put the newspaper on your body, and then they would pin round and create the darts, and then they put that on the cloth, and then they would cut round the cloth. But I can't do that.
That's really clever. I wouldn't be able to do that. And I can't knit or crochet. But I do enjoy sewing, and particularly in the winter, a couple of hours listening to an audiobook and putting something together is quite nice. Don't do so much this time of year, but the other things I do a lot of, particularly since I moved to London 3 years ago, is that I do go to the theatre a lot. I go to exhibitions a lot. The most wonderful invention in the world is the Freedom Pass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm fortunate enough to go by train or bus anywhere within the Greater London area.
And hasn't that got a marvellous effect to ensure that you don't get out of bed too early, since it only comes into effect after 9:30 or something, does it not?
Yes, it's quite funny. At my local station, there's always a gaggle of older people
waiting.
and in fact, the guys there are really good because there's a 9:31 train, so they do let people through at 9:27. I noticed.
Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely. You've still got attendance. Lucky you.
Well, yes.
Sorry, go on, Debbie.
No, I mean, it took me a long time when I'd moved here to discover that actually with buses, it's 9 o'clock, not 9:30. So, but seriously, I think it's a wonderful thing because I think it enables people to go out, contribute to the local economy, get out and meet people. And I think bus passes generally, but I think we are incredibly fortunate.
And I think that raises a very interesting point, because you all know from your work when you're working with BT Benevolent Fund, and obviously the experience you had with pensioners from BT, we have exactly the same. It can be very scary. I mean, if you are on your own, if you are single, you may have immediate family, but not obviously living with you all the time, and your whole focus is your work. when you take that out of the equation, you've got almost a completely blank canvas on which to try and recreate yourself. And that requires some balls, excuse my language, because you've got to, that walking through the door. I mean, we often say to our local groups that are still running, have a door person, and by that, I mean, have somebody
Yes.
who's a
Yes.
friendly face on the door,
Yeah.
because you can be very nerve wracking. If you're walking through that door, you don't know, and as you will know, the protocol involved with some of our groups, Ethel always sits there, Doris
Yes.
always sits there, and woe betide if you sit in the wrong seat or you happen to plonk yourself down on the wrong table. But
Yes.
there is an element, and I think it's great. I mean, from what you were saying, that's never stopped you. I mean, you've got out there, you've done it, you've experienced things, and also even as much as the solo travel thing as well.
I think though I do have a good example of that, because I lived for something like 28 years in a lovely little town on the Welsh borders. I lived in Monmouth, and my daughter, as I say, went to university, got married, ended up living in southwest London. 5 years ago, my grandson was born, and I turned into a regular commuter along the M4.
Yeah,
But that was
lucky
fine.
you.
Yeah, quite. Went up and down a lot. And then really two things happened at about the same time. 3 years ago, my granddaughter was born, so there was double the reason to be. Also, I managed to trip over a London pavement and make an idiot of myself by sprawling on the pavement. But 99 times out of 100, you'd have been fine. I managed to break my pelvis in 2 places.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my days.
Which is not an experience I'd recommend to anyone.
No,
but
because it's so painful.
It's unbelievably painful.
Yeah,
and there's
I know
nothing
your coccyx.
Yes,
Nothing like hurting
it's
your
just got to get
coccyx.
better.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's horrible. But I ended up at home in Monmouth, because I did drive home after that incident. But I ended up at home for about 3 months. Part of that time on crutches. My sisters were wonderful. Well, everybody in the family was wonderful. I had a neighbour who was wonderful. But it was pretty grim, and it made me realise that I could not go on living 2 hours away from my daughter. So 2.5 years ago, I moved from Wales to southwest London. And that's a kind of counterintuitive move. A lot of people retire to the country.
I was just going to say a bit like reverse retirement.
Yes, although people do retire to cities in greater numbers. And I had grown up in the northeast London suburbs, so it wasn't all strange or new to me. But I have to say, it is a very odd feeling arriving somewhere new where you don't know your neighbours, you only know your family and maybe a couple of other people. And you do have to work quite hard to put yourself out there. I did a lot of talking to people on buses, and
that's a good start, though. You've got to start somewhere.
And I talk to people. I have my daughter's dog most weekends, and being out with a dog is always a great way. So at least you'd have conversations with dog walkers. And I had a stroke of luck in the end. I talked to some people at an event I went to locally, and got told about a group of elderly women who've all moved to this part of the world, who are either divorced or widowed but have family here. So it's a very niche market,
like a support group.
Well, they meet,
social support group.
Yeah, well, we meet for coffee every Monday afternoon.
Only coffee?
That's lovely.
No, only coffee.
Only coffee. Okay.
And actually, what you say, I mean, the first time I went to that, I'd been in touch by email with one of the women who'd sort of started it, but it was quite nerve-wracking walking into that for the first time. But actually, I've been fortunate. That's turned out to be a great source of friendship, and you gradually get to know other people. I know my neighbours well now. I go to Pilates, and I know the Pilates group, and you do have to slightly put yourself out there in a way that I hadn't always done,
I know Denise has got a question for you, but before she does, while it's in my head, before it slips out, I just wanted to say your experience reminded me because I remember you telling me about that when I saw you recently about moving the opposite direction.
Yes.
And when I first joined the CSRF way back 2007, 2008, I think it was Campaign for Rural England, or so one of those charities did a whole campaign that was entirely designed to say to retirees, don't get sold on the chocolate box cottage and the, the coif lawns and all of that, because, and it was quite stark for its time, because inevitably one of you is going to snuff it, and then the other one of you is going to be left, albeit in this chocolate box cottage, but as you guys said, in the middle of nowhere, with lower public transport, with no mechanism to get from A to B. So just think very carefully before you retire to the country.
Well, I think it's very true. And of course, the other thing, the best thing about this move I made, which I may not have mentioned enough, is that I see my daughter, son-in-law, and grandchildren probably 4 days a week, if not 5 days a week. And I'll be off later to pick my grandson up from after school club, and I think I'm useful in that respect. And that was a lot of what it was about, and it's worked out really well. So I've been lucky, but yes, it's quite daunting to move into your new house, which is very, very much smaller than your old house, because it's not a good move to make financially.
Yeah.
And think, gosh, I don't really know anybody,
Yeah.
but you do get through it, and it can be done, and people are incredibly friendly on the whole.
I just found that really interesting, because if people obviously don't know you, who are listening to the podcast, and they hear you talk about the activities that you've done, you've worked for 30 years, you were with BT, you were with the Benevolent Fund, you were with the Insurance Fund, they would think that you were like a, oozing confidence in every circumstance. So I think it's interesting to hear you say, well, look, I was scared.
Yeah, no,
I was
think
scared.
I think that's a good point, and that's very true. It is. There were moments. I always knew I'd done the right thing, but there were moments of thinking, "Gosh, I had everything in place in my old house, and not only friends, but all the tradespeople I needed. If I needed a plumber, it was so and so. That sort of thing. And it's been quite a challenge, and I think 2.5 years in, I'm kind of just about sorted. But yeah, but I would recommend it. It's I think if you've got a lively mind, this sort of change, although it can be quite daunting, can be really rewarding. I mean, I'm certainly fortunate that it has been for me.
I mean, it scares me.
Oh, sorry, Dee.
No, so I was going to say
sorry, Dee.
No, go for it.
Okay. So what I was going to say was that for people who are approaching retirement, I think the idea of the lacking or not having what as normal behavior, that's what is makes things uncomfortable, because you can now say, you know what, Denise, I'm comfortable now because I had to get through the uncomfortable experience so that I could make my normal comfortable, but it's a new normal. And I think that's sometimes that's the difficulty that people see. And as we get older, we need encouragement, I think, a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we need encouragement, and we need someone sometimes in your corner to say to you, okay, do you know what you're requesting and what you're looking for, it's not off the beaten track, it's fine, you can do it, but maybe it might take a little bit longer, or you might have to go a slightly different route because this is your lived experience now, these might be your health challenges or whatever. But it's about allowing yourself, to be afraid, and then to say, look, okay, I accept I'm afraid, but what am I going to do now? Am I going to be in stasis, or am I moving?
Exactly. And I think that I would entirely agree with that, because I mean, as one who's not quite ready for retirement yet, since the brain and body is still functioning in the right order. But I mean, as somebody's, all the people I meet in my travels around the CSRF always say to me, you never know what's around the corner. And that is a very, very sensible.
Absolutely.
And another thing I always get told is make sure every day counts. And that's
Or do it now.
Exactly.
Do it now. Don't wait, because a lot of the time we're deferring things, and we're deferring things.
I hold my hands up to say,
we are.
I have done that. I have taken the easy option.
I'm going to wait. So I'm going to hang on.
I'm too busy. I'm doing this. I can't do that.
And sometimes it can be daunting.
That's all very true. And the other bit of advice I would give, if people are moving to be nearer to family, which is often a reason for moving, do not expect that family to provide your social life. I mean, mine would have done. And we are incredibly close and see each other all the time. But I was very determined that I wouldn't rely on them for, my entire life. And in fact, I'd probably gone too far in the other direction, because my daughter will say, could you babysit on that date? And I say, no, I'm going to the theatre. you know, you've got to rebuild your own life. You can't rely on other
Yeah.
people to
Definitely.
do it.
So
for
But
what
I
was
you.
the
think it's
last-
about
Sorry, go on,
planning.
Dee.
No, I think it's about planning. I
Yeah,
think it's
planning
about
is important.
planning
Yeah.
because essentially, when you were talking earlier, you said you retired from BT when you were 57, and you said to yourself, you know, I'm not ready for the cliff edge. So it came serendipitously, but you were in your mind, you were already open to a plan of, I want to do something else. And I think that makes the huge difference. So I feel like the new cohort of retirees now are much more focused on, well, I need to, it's like a new chapter in my life. So maybe I want to start a business, or I'm going to go and do more traveling, or, you know, I'm going to, I don't know, find a new partner or something like that.
I think that's an interesting point, because I was up at Civil Service Live in Edinburgh earlier on this month.
Yes.
And we've been doing increasing the engagement with what we do with the civil service to include retirement planning workshops, which have been very well received. So we
Yes.
did them, we launched them last year at Civil Service Live, and I think I must have done about 10 to 15 across 3 different events. We had phenomenally good feedback. And the whole proposition of the workshop is to say, of course, finance is a very important part for anybody considering retirement, but there is so much more you need to think about. And one of the most important things is every one of you in this audience, civil servants, you know where you fit, what your job is, what team you're in, what your daily routine is, how you operate, how you interrelate. All of that will go when you retire.
Yes.
So you will cease to have an identity that you are used to at the moment.
Absolutely.
And the
Absolutely.
absolute essential thing now is, as you are approaching it, coming back to what you were saying about the cliff edge and knowing what to do and the trepidation, is if you can give some thought to what answers to those questions you will have in your own mind, the chances are, of course, you're going to have some, you know, wins and losses in terms of what you experience when you get to that point. You will be better equipped to doing that. And I mean, for me, I mean, I'm single. I have got family close by. I do make sure I see them on a regular basis, but I have always been about work. I hold my hands up. I accept
Yes.
that. Workaholic, 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 workaholic. I do have enjoyment for writing. I do cinema. I do try and do solo travel like you. I'm very happy. And I don't know if it's an age thing. The older I get, the more I'm actually quite happy not being with people.
Yes. There is a lot of truth in that.
It is, but that does not get round the fact that we all need some form of social interaction.
Yes.
So I think,
Absolutely.
I think if you are happy in your own skin, and I do feel that what this job has been phenomenally good for me in all the years I've been with the CSRF, is it does teach you to look at things in a different perspective. When I worked in magazine world, you never thought, I mean, thinking about getting old was never even on the hemisphere. You were like, oh, well, you go party every night, do this, press launch, blah, 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 blah. Nothing ever mattered. And then you actually meet people who do work very hard, but they also are shrewd enough to say, it's not always going to be like that. You know,
Yes.
and the sooner you realize that, David, that, you know, you're not invincible, and, you know, there are going to be moments where you need to be humble, accepting of the fact that your body might not match to your expectations in terms of you've got a health challenge or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
How you deal with all of those things, I think is absolutely key to how you
It's
then...
attitudinal as well.
Exactly.
And I think, you know, the sort of body thing is interesting, because there are things you can do to keep yourself more active. I was always the kid at school who was last to be picked from the netball team, and was actually banned from hockey because I was so bad at it. I've always hated exercise all my life. The thought of going to the gym is, you know, I mean, why would you want to do that? But actually, you do become aware, and breaking my pelvis and more or less having to learn to walk again brought this home, that you've got to do some exercise. So I do now go to a Pilates class once a week. That is the extent of my organised exercise. But when I'm not using my Freedom Pass, I walk everywhere, you know, and I try and do, I know there's no science in it really, but I do try and do 10,000 steps a day. Just
But
to
walking is great exercise.
so long as you do it fairly briskly. In this
Yeah,
weather,
exactly.
you can't, you know. But you know, there are some things you can do, and again, I recognise there are an awful lot of people who can't do that. But do you know what I mean when I say retirees are getting younger? They're not that they're getting younger, but they're getting younger. You know, they're more digitally capable.
Oh, yes.
I
How
mean,
are you with that, Debbie? The digital the whole digital transition. How are you with that?
I'm pretty good.
Oh,
But get me on AI and I'm slightly lost. And I was describing some problem I'd had with connecting to something the other week to somebody, and she said, "But couldn't you have hotspotted it from your phone?" And I
What's a
thought,
hotspot?
I don't understand a word of that sentence.
Oh, hotspot. The hotspot, basically you use your internet from your mobile, your internet connection, and then you share it with another device.
So I
So you get a
understand that.
hotspot.
But I mean,
Yeah.
so I think I'm kind of average, I do try and keep up, but there are some things that clearly elude me because I just looked at this person and said, "You what?"
And
Can
do
I
you
just
have a
give you-
view? Sorry, go on, Dee.
No, I was going to say, when you get a chance, just go onto Google and type in ChatGPT.
Well,
And
yes.
do you like ChatGPT?
I
Well, I was just
don't
going to
use
ask
it
that
much.
about AI. What's your view on AI?
I think I should bring myself more up to speed with AI. I am innately suspicious of it at the moment.
No, that's correct. That's very
You know.
correct.
I'm not a watcher of YouTube, other than, of course, your wonderful podcast.
We didn't pay, for those listening, we did not pay Debbie.
No, I did watch the last one, which I was really impressed by, to be serious about it.
Oh,
But another thing which will tell you this is I had always managed not to join Facebook because the whole idea was just anathema to me. When I moved to the road I now live in, there wasn't a WhatsApp group, which tends to be often. There was a Facebook group for the road. So I had to swallow my principles and join Facebook. And my God, what a time waster.
It
But
does.
did
It
you
eats
not-
your time. Do you watch the videos and stuff
No,
on there, Debbie?
I don't.
All right.
I've become very disciplined. I look at what people in the road post, and that's about it.
But when you came onto Facebook, though, because I mean, I remember donkey's years. It was a great way of connecting with people you'd lost touch with. Did you have a flurry of people who go, "Oh my God, we were at school with you, Debbie"? Have friend requests from people from all over who?
No, but I've got it set that I don't kind of get. I've got two friends. One is one of my sisters, and one is my daughter, and I needed those for them to take me seriously. So yeah, I'm a very good ad for Facebook.
I mean, AI, I think is very interesting because we did a series of interviews last year for our 60th anniversary, where this was more work specific. So we talked to people about their memories of when they were working in the civil service. And one of the people we were lucky enough to chat to, and who's actually going to be joining, not done yet in a few weeks, was former head of the civil service, Lord Sedwell.
I'm just not. I shouldn't be in this company.
Yeah, we've got the photo of you hobnobbing with former lords of
With
the
the
realm.
Lords.
With the lords, Debbie. That's where you need to be. But he was talking, and I'm sure you probably remember that we had quite an in-depth conversation to him about how AI will impact the civil service. Not if it will, but how.
Yes.
And I think even the founders of AI have accepted that the genie is out the bottle and nothing you can do is going to put it back in.
No.
My issue, and I think this is more from a journalistic point of view, is I think it's a great tool for many things to allow you scope and understanding on subjects. So if you're writing in, I'm going to Germany next week. I'm doing a trip down memory lane. So my sister, traveling with my sister, you travel with your sister. My sister and I have decided we were army brats when we were kids. So my dad was an army chaplain. So he was stationed for many, many years in Germany. And there's no British Army of the Rhine anymore.
No,
it's gone. But we thought, I wonder what all of the cities we grew up in as kids are like. So we're flying into Hanover and I'm doing car rental and we are visiting all of these cities that we used to when we were small.
Yeah.
And AI was great because I could push in things like, where can you free park in Paderborn? And it would go, here is exactly drive down this road and this is how much it's going to cost and da 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 da. So things like that I think are great. But what I think, if it stops you thinking, that's I think where it's got the problem. And I think it's like that. It's like most things, isn't it? Which have got potential guilty pleasure element. It's what the balance of how much you rely on it against what you use it to do.
But I think it is interesting because I hear other people who are younger than me routinely using it for research. And it does make me think, yes, got to spend a bit more time on this. I've got to find something that, maybe I should look up what can I plant in the garden that the snails won't eat as a start.
Yeah. Well, you should try
Yeah.
that and see
Well,
what it tells
please.
you.
Well, I was going to actually come back to your gardening question, because you said before that you really enjoyed gardening. So I just wanted to get some idea of the type of things that you are gardening. Are you doing flowers, or are you doing vegetables, or have you got an allotment, or?
I have the smallest back garden you could possibly imagine. And I've just got rid of my lawn earlier this year and turned it all over to a massive flower bed. So I am planting up this flower bed, but the elements are against me, frankly. It's so dry at the moment that planting has ceased. And I was away for 10 days recently, and a lovely neighbour fortunately watered for me. But gardening is a bit of a challenge. It's either too wet, too dry, or something in between, But it is.
Yeah.
I'm very unknowledgeable, but I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy the results.
I know it. I really do, because like I was saying to David, I put down some tomatoes, but they were just completely eaten. The slugs just mullered all of
That's
them.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
they mullered, and you're there. It's almost like a parent. Your child's been damaged. It's like, you start.
I often think I should go out with a torch at midnight and pick
excuse
them
me.
all off.
I was doing that. Can I just? I was getting to that point. I was actually going outside. I love camping, because I camp a lot by myself. I love camping.
Right.
Yeah, I love camping. So I have loads of torches. So I was going in the garden in the evening with my torch, and I was picking them off because they were eating everything. And I did like mini sunflowers. They ate the mini sunflowers. I put down all the, like the salad greens and stuff like that. They ate all the salad greens.
They don't stand a chance. No.
They didn't stand a chance. I did the eggshells, but I know it's not. I'm not going to say this loudly, but I had to buy
I have to
I
say,
feel guilty.
I have to throw in, Debbie, just so you can get the context. When Denise says she really loves camping, she's not fibbing. She has an average size car, no disrespect to your car, but what comes out of that car at the campsite is she creates what can only be described as the mansion of camping. So she has ante-rooms, she has a kitchen area, she has a guest area for people who might be coming. A doorbell. I mean, I kid you not.
That's brilliant.
And all of this comes out of, and it's fair to say it's an average size.
And it's all foldable, because everything can be folded, and it's all inflated.
And not only that, and you think that may stop there. You then get the interior design touches, the throws and the cushions, and
yes,
I mean, it's like,
and my art installation.
Exactly.
Brilliant. I'm most impressed. I'm really impressed.
I just love camping.
Yes, I've never been much of a camping person. I think I was scarred by too many caravan holidays as a child.
Oh, I was so too, because I was in the Brownies. I don't know if you was in the Girl Guides. Was you in the Guides?
I didn't. I was slung out of the Girl Guides.
Oh, why? What did you do?
I was just going to say, that sounds shocking.
I didn't like it, and I therefore probably behaved badly. So
I did the Brownies. And then I was a Girl Guide, and then we went camping, and
how many badges did you get in the Brownies?
Well, I was a pixie, and I got I was a pixie, and I got all the outdoor badges, and maybe that's why I like camping, because you could make like things. I can't remember them all.
You can light a fire, and
I can make fire and that kind of thing. And my mum still has got my brownie dress somewhere.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah, she's still got my brownie dress. Yeah, but I used to love all of that stuff. Yeah. So yes, I'm a avid camper, and I think that's one of the things I thought about, because I've got 2 daughters, and we used to go camping all the time, and I knew there was going to come a time when they wouldn't come with me. So I started doing 2 camping trips, one with them, one on my own, just to get used to it. And now I've been going camping on my own for the last.
Brilliant. Good for you. No, I think that's great. And I think, there is so much you can do and enjoy. An awful lot of older people inevitably are on their own. And they're not all going to go camping, but I think it just brings. Denise, you're not an older person, obviously. Don't get the wrong end of that.
Oh, you're very generous, darling.
But there is so much you can do if you put your mind to it.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of Not Done Yet. If you didn't know much about the Civil Service Retirement Fellowship, we are a national charity providing support and advice and guidance to former civil servants and their dependents. If you would be interested in finding out how you can become a volunteer or a donor, check out the website on www.csrf.org.uk or give us a call on 0208 691 7411. We'll look forward to hearing from you. No, there is. And but $64 million question where we're talking about age, and I know it's not always age specific. Where do you stand on cruising? Because that could determine. I have a view.
I have
Never
you too,
been
David.
on a cruise ever, and close friends of mine are going to be like, "How dare you insult it? We love it, etc." I cannot think of anything more boring.
I'm absolutely with you. I can't think of anything worse than being confined with several hundred other people and
Who you can't escape from.
oh, mind you, having said that, there are one or two things I'd quite like to do the Norwegian fjords on.
But you don't need to do a cruise line to do that.
No, you can do it on the Hurtigruten mailboat, which sounds much more.
Well, do you know what? This is where I'm going to throw in a free publicity for the Norwegian Tourist Board. So if the Norwegian Tourist Board are listening, you can buy an advert on the next episode of Not Done Yet, and that will help us from a donational point of view. Going back to when I was working in magazines, we used to get a lot of press trips for travel. So one of the first magazines I was responsible for was for London City Airport when it was emerging as a business travel airport. And the Norwegian Tourist Board gave me a press trip, and they were promoting a thing called Norway in a Nutshell, which was a thing that you could buy into, which is pretty much a bit like plane, train and automobile. But it basically, you started in Bergen, you got the train through to a particular place, you then got the funicular down the side of a mountain, you then got on a boat that went round the fjords, then you connected with another bus that went up and over the mountain. So you could see Norway in a nutshell in one experience. No cruise liners were involved in the process of that.
Exactly. I mean, I sometimes think if I get really old, would I consider it? But I suspect I won't. And,
We were just ruminating, Dee, on now I know you've done cruise lining.
I've done a cruise.
You have done cruise lining. But was that your first time doing it?
No, because I've done a cruise before. So about 22 years before then, I did another cruise and we went to the Basque region. And that was very different because there's a point, and I think somewhere wherever the boat was going, that it actually drops and the front of the boat drops, and then you just feel this like thing and you think to yourself, my God, what is this? I've dreamt this, but I usually wake up afterwards because it's like that's but that was then, but that was like kind of it wasn't as nice as this one. But when I went on the last cruise, I really enjoyed it because I thought to myself, if I'd known about cruises like that, I would have taken my children because it's perfect for families.
That is, yeah,
that's a different matter. Yes,
exactly.
For families.
There was
you can do so many things.
Exactly. There was a lady I used to work with at CSRF, Yvonne, who had a young family, and that's why she loved cruising, because they could go on board. There was all sorts of activities for the kids, and they could go off, enjoy themselves. And I suppose equally importantly, they knew they were safe because they were in a confined space on board.
And there's so many, there's entertainment, if you want to go and watch a show or you want to go to like quizzes, then they have, music, live music on the deck. Then there's all of the food that you can eat. And
but the grumpy old man in me is just like, what happens if
you're
shoved? No, I know, but it's like, what happens if you're shoved on a table with the most boring people in the world?
I'll tell you what you do.
We'll have to go on a cruise together.
You just excuse yourself. I mean, you don't have to, allow yourself to be, your food's going cold because the people in front of you are boring the tears out of you. So just get up and go and sit somewhere else because the boat's massive. And there's so many different restaurants. There's the captain's table if you want something a bit more upmarket, or you could go so many different places. But if you're someone like yourself, Debbie, and you've got a young family like your daughter's family, and you guys want to go on a trip together, I would recommend highly going on a cruise. It's absolutely fabulous, and you'd have such a nice time. And like you said, there's opportunities for chilling with the whole family on your own, or
it's really interesting, actually. It's good to get another perspective on this. You've not sold it to me yet, but hey, perspective.
Well, we'll expect you to revisit Not Done Yet, Debbie, when you have. Yes. And then you can tell Denise whether you did or did not like the experience on the new set of criteria. Yes. But you were talking to us about obviously things you've been really enjoyed doing, and obviously some of the things you particularly loved about London, particularly about like theatre. So what was the last theatre production you went to see?
I went to Southwark Playhouse and saw a new musical called Redcliffe. which
And
may or
what's it
may
called?
not. I go to the small theatres as much as I can around the sort of periphery. I slightly try
Have you
and
been
avoid.
Arcola? Arcola
I
Street
haven't
Theatre?
been to Arcola. It's on my
Okay.
list though,
Yeah.
and yeah, but I go to Southwark, I go to the Menhir, I go to the Kiln.
Yeah.
I try to do these places. Um, it's the opportunity is such, you just can't go to everything you'd like to go to.
Yeah. There's, I think on
mean,
Saturday, there's I'm going with my mum. We're going to see The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. That's in somewhere up the West End. So I think we're doing that
I
this
saw that a
Saturday.
few weeks ago. I think you'll enjoy it. It's great. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Yes.
haven't seen it yet.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's at
So that's
Soho
good.
Place, which is a lovely theatre as well.
Yeah, and then we're going to Chinatown for chow mein. I think,
Oh,
after that.
sounds
And
very good. Nice
dumplings.
combo, food and theatre.
David,
And yes,
could I just put in, because I realise time's going by, could I just do another mention for CSIS?
of course you can. Yes, of course you can. This is your space, and
Because I joke about
we
it, but
mentioned it in the intro as well. So
Yeah.
that's absolutely, yeah. Please do.
I just feel that if people who are watching this don't know about it, it's a wonderful small insurance broker, incredibly personalised service. They primarily do home travel and car policies, and they are a not-for-profit. And as a charity, we at the charity fund get their operating surplus, and that's what means we can make grants to people like you. And I know you said all that at the start, but I think, I do care about what we do, and it's important to me, and it's just good to reinforce what you said at the beginning, if that's
Absolutely.
okay.
And
But you
I
can
think
edit all that out, obviously.
no, not at all. We wouldn't dream of it. But I mean, I think equally importantly, I mean, and just as a sort of slightly tangential element, one of the things that I often say in my workshops is that the people we are supporting, i.e. former civil servants, will come out with such a breadth of knowledge and skill sets that are gold dust for the charity sector. I mean, the charity
Yes,
sector has got
absolutely.
a major challenge
Yes,
recruiting trustees.
I know.
And I think, the skills, people often, I think, perhaps misunderstand that there's more involved with being a trustee, or, liabilities and all of that puts them off.
I
But
know.
they really should. I mean, we did quite a bit of work, and indeed, a friend of mine works for the Charity Commission as well. But we often spot reference the Charity Commission, who've got some very useful guides
They have.
about becoming a trustee. And
I
I mean, sorry, go
Yeah.
on.
No, I was just going to say, we tried 18 months ago to find a new trustee with financial skills, accounting skills, and we gave up in the end. It proved almost impossible. And yet, when you think how many people
Are you still looking, Debbie, for someone for the trustee board?
possibly,
Okay.
because basically we're doing the finance bit ourselves now. We have one or two people with good financial skills. Our company secretary is good. I can just about add up, but it
Always
just
useful.
showed how difficult it can be when you
Yeah.
think, David, the number of people who retire, and there doesn't have to be a civil service background, but when you think of the number
Exactly
of people
right.
who retire from
Exactly.
the civil service, who must have those skills.
And I, as I said only the other week, I mean, one of the beauties, if that was something that was of interest, you actually dealing with several parts of that retirement new opportunity.
Yes.
Because you've got, aside from keeping the mind active, you've got a new social element of obviously interrelating with a new. I mean, I did something very similar. So I'm not just saying this, I have actually done it, because just post-COVID, I thought I need to try and diversify. I've got a busy day job, fair enough, that keeps me busy, keeps me occupied, but I quite like an another, something that keeps the mind worried.
Yes.
And I applied to become a trustee for my local Age UK. So,
Right.
and I went through all the interview process, and they gave me, I was lucky enough to be picked. And so I joined just about a year ago, the Age UK West Sussex, Brighton and Hove. And that's great, because that's a completely new set of people. So you've got that interrelationship front of obviously keeping your social skills honed and all the rest of it, but it keeps the mind active. And I think that just the point in the context of what we're talking about here in retirement, making the most of it, your life doesn't stop when you retire. You've got a whole world of opportunity. And I would say, Civil Service Insurance Society Charity Fund, the scope of work that your funds support is huge. I mean, we
It
are
is.
just one of what, 50 plus charitable
Not that many these days. But the other point I would make, David, I mean, it's very nice on a trustee board to have a mix of people who are retired and who are still working. So in
Yeah.
terms of your Age UK, well, in practice, I find that's difficult because people who are still working and often have very demanding day jobs don't always have time. And, you know, I have to say from my experience, there's no getting away from the fact that retired people add more value in many cases. And that's a terrible, you know, that's a terrible generalization to make. But because I don't want it to sound as if you can only do this if you're retired. But I just feel there are so many people who retire and don't do anything to give back to the community. And I can't imagine doing something. I mean, when I eventually stop doing CSIS, you might find me doing a few shifts in a local charity shop.
No, but I think that's really important, Debbie, because when you said in the beginning, we asked you, you know, when you started going for retirement, what support was there? And you said, well, I'm not even sure what there was out there, but I didn't get a lot. Maybe if at that point, somebody said to you, okay, Debbie, okay, you're going to retire from BT. Okay, there might be some other things you want to do, but we've got a whole range of charities that would be beneficial to you. Maybe, Dee, that might be a money spinner for us here. Maybe we need to bring that in there. But you know what I'm saying? Some way of linking your skill set to a charity who needs support. So that way you would have, you know, maybe you might have taken a different route if you'd gone that way.
David, I would say we used a charity website to look for trustees called Reach, which does a lot of work in this area. It wasn't altogether as
I think I know the one you mean. Reach
Volunteering. It's really big in this area. And it's interesting because a focus on civil service retirees and the range of charities that there are might be quite interesting. Maybe something we could talk about at some stage.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a jolly good idea. We're coming up to the 60 minutes and you're doubtless really breathing a huge sigh of relief, thinking, oh my God, it's nearly over. Although it's gone very quick, I would say, certainly from our perspective.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Before we wrap, though, I am intrigued to know, because and this is a question I'm going to throw in there. What's been your biggest guilty pleasure since you retired? Something you never did when you were working that you absolutely do now you are in retirement?
Oh God, you should have given me notice of that.
That's why I didn't, because it needs to be something that drops out.
I think but I think if I'm honest, it's traveling more than I was ever able to. I mean, I came this past Saturday. I got back from 10 days in Canada, and I'm going to
Wow.
I'm going to Namibia in September.
Wonderful.
It's you know, well, there's a great feeling of doing it while you can. You know, because you don't know what's around the corner.
Exactly.
Can I also throw in a pet hate that?
Yes, please do.
Go on.
That I've noticed lately sometimes when people get something new, people of my age and older. It could be a new car, it could be a new coat, but this phrase comes out about "it'll see me out." I would like to ban that phrase.
I love that.
So is that your last coat purchase before you sit down on the mortal coil?
Exactly. It's a terrible expression, and I would like it to disappear from the English language. But
I think we need to do a subset of Not Done Yet, which is Not Done Yet Room 101.
Yes.
What are you going to consign to Room 101?
I think that's a wicked idea, Dee.
Yeah.
Because
I think that's a brilliant idea, David.
Well, I would be consigning "We are where we are." I hate that.
No,
I hate that.
Oh, and thank you for reaching out.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for reaching out.
Thank you
for reaching out too much. Do you hate that, Debbie?
I hate it.
Full disclosure, I wrote that in an email.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
We are where we are.
But you are quite right. That is a phrase that somehow has entered the common vernacular.
Yeah.
And you just imagine, am I reaching? Literally, you sort of imagine people physically reaching in your direction.
And bonding or attempting to bond.
Yeah, exactly.
On a molecular level,
I always feel tempted. If I get that in an email, I always feel tempted to say, actually, I didn't reach out, I just emailed you.
But that's good. I think as you get older, you get a bit more pithy.
I'm actually thinking that Debbie could be a very useful permanent guest slot on Not Done Yet, doing the 101 segment. Because
that
has a whole
yes, you could. You could potentially get requests from other people of what they want to get put in room 101. The things they want to be.
It's an interesting. I mean, I I begin to think we've had such fun that I'm not sure you can really use this in your not done yet slot.
Oh, I know it's
Oh,
in there.
wow,
It's
it's lovely.
absolutely in there. And
It's
I would
perfect.
say what you said there about the 101 and what your pet 8 is. One of our group leaders, also Vice President Liz, who's our Edinburgh group leader, lovely lady. Anyone who knows her will know she's extremely on the money passionate about the organization, very forthright, and she also doesn't hold back, being a good Scot in speaking her mind in the way that she
That's
should.
what we like.
But she said we've recently launched an online social group for the CSRF, so playing on that digital element. So we thought we'll do something that perhaps people who don't want to go along to a physical group can tap in and have a speaker. So it's done via Zoom. It's only 30 minutes or 45 minutes. We have guest speakers. People can interact, chat, etc., once a month. And she said to me, well, I quite like the idea, Data, but what you should do is you should have a 30-minute rant slot that enables all of us to come online and we can say things that really pee us off.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
Yes,
I
think
absolutely
that's a great
do.
idea. Yes,
Yeah, because
yes.
I think a lot of people would be so keen to have themselves heard. Because really and truly, a rant isn't a rant. It's you expressing your feelings.
Exactly.
And nobody's really paying attention. That's why it's classified as a rant.
Exactly. And on a serious note, I mean, I think I mentioned when I saw you in your trustee meeting that we'd done a recent tech survey. And we had a huge response from members of the community. And I think Dee and I were talking about this. We've obviously been looking at the results, etc. We had over 1,000 people who fed back.
Yeah.
And I actually think one of the reasons that we got that is because people actually thought we have finally had an opportunity to write down what is really getting our goat about technology, like in this whole thing about customer service. You can only talk to a business.
You're 28th in the queue.
Yes. Or the thing that really annoys people is those automated things like where you have to repeat it.
Yes.
Speak your number down the phone or say your name, or is this the inquiry that you really wanted? And it's all done obviously by, I mean, that is going to be more of a future because obviously with AI coming in, we'll probably have a lot more of that.
Well, indeed. No, and you find yourself typing something when you've contacted a firm online, and about 5 minutes in, you realise you're talking to a bot, not a human being.
Yeah.
You're talking to the bot. And one of the ways of working out that you're talking to the bot is because they're always very complimentary.
Yes.
So glad you pointed that out, Debbie.
But on without a hint of sarcasm in what it's saying at all. But the other thing, just and I am very conscious of the fact that you've got a life outside of Not Done Yet. But the other one thing that I would say that gets my goat is predictive text. And I cannot get my head around that because it's like you start writing something, it says, did you mean this? No, I didn't mean that. I actually wanted to say this word. So why do you keep spewing up all these other words?
And just auto spelling correction. No, I meant to write that word, not that completely different word.
Well, I'm dyslexic, so I love auto spelling correction.
No, I know. It
has its uses, but if you send the message before you realise what it's done to it, it's really annoying.
Oh.
And on that note,
yes.
what I will do is just for those of you listening, we hope you have had a thoroughly enjoyable 60 to 70 minutes romp through retirement with our fantastic guest this afternoon, Debbie Terry.
Oh, you were brilliant, Debbie.
You were, Debbie. A big round of applause for Debbie.
Yeah, you were brilliant. And you're so natural and relaxed. It's lovely.
Exactly.
And we had a few laughs. And you had a few jokes.
If anything, Debbie, Denise, or myself has really provoked you, use it and comment. We'd love to have some comments on the episode that we can interact with, because the more comments you give us, the more we can build our channel, the more episodes we can do, and the greater the voice and opportunity we will be providing for those people who want to share all of the wonderful things they're doing in retirement. But all I would say in conclusion is, it is a sweltering day in London. We're recording this on the hottest day in the UK. We have all managed to survive without melting like the proverbial ice lollies. And click the bell on our YouTube channel. Come back and listen to our next episode. And on behalf of myself and Denise, say goodbye, Denise.
Bye.
Bye,
and
Denise.
Say goodbye, Debbie.
Goodbye.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. If you're enjoying this episode of the podcast and fancy joining us as a guest on a future episode, then we'd love to hear from you. If you visit our website, www.csrf.org.uk, you can find out on the homepage all about how you can reach out to us and become a guest on a future episode. It doesn't matter from what background you come. What we really want to find are people with interesting experiences in retirement and beyond. So maybe you could be our next special guest.